A teenage boy with no armor, no sword or spear, only a shepherd's pouch of stones and an unshakable conviction. A giant clad in bronze, moving like thunder, making an entire army tremble day after day. A dusty valley where fear lines up like soldiers, and the honor of God is openly challenged. The real battle is not a contest of strength, but of pride against faith. And when the stone flies, history turns in a single moment, so a whole nation may know that God can still use what is small to bring down what seems impossible.
If you enjoy Bible stories like this, please like, share, and subscribe to Fidelia Bible Stories. We deeply appreciate your support. It's what keeps us going.
And now, the story of David and Goliath begins.
In those days, the air over Israel felt heavy like clouds before a storm. The Philistines surged in like a dark tide, bringing weapons, great shields, and warriors seasoned by the smell of battle. They camped on one hillside. Israel camped on the opposite slope. Between them lay a valley, not merely an empty stretch of land, but an empty space filled with fear. King Saul stood with his army, but his face no longer looked like the face of a confident king. He had once been taller than all the people once anointed, once led the nation into war. But in these days there was something in his eyes that was hard to name: weariness and confusion. For every morning and every evening from the Philistine camp, a roar rolled down into the valley like a lion's growl echoing from a rocky cave. Goliath stepped forward. He was not only large, he was the embodiment of everything that convinces people there is no way to win. Heavy bronze armor covered his body. His spear was like a beam. When he moved, the ground seemed to shake and dust rose into the air. He stood in the middle of the valley and shouted at Israel not to invite a fair fight, but to shame them.
Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him, and kill him, then shall ye be our servants, and serve us.
1 Samuel 17, 8-9. Each time he spoke, the army of Israel shrank back into silence. They were afraid. Fear did not kill them instantly, but it imprisoned them. It kept them standing still while disgrace unfolded day after day. Meanwhile, somewhere else there was a boy named David. He was the youngest son of Jesse in Bethlehem. 3 of his brothers had gone to battle with the king. David stayed behind to shepherd sheep. Sometimes he would sing softly words that would one day become prayers for millions. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. His work was to listen to the wind moving through grass, to hear the bleating of sheep, and to guard against lions and bears. His battles had no audience, no applause, only darkness and responsibility. One morning, Jesse called him, placed bread and cheese into his hands, and said,
"Take these to the camp. See how your brothers are doing."
His father's voice sounded ordinary. David sensed the battlefield was closer than anyone thought. David left early. He entrusted the flock to a keeper and ran along the dusty road toward the camp. From a distance, he could already hear the shouts of soldiers, but the shouting lacked life like an empty ritual. He reached his brothers, delivered the food, and began asking about them. Then the familiar roar thundered again from the valley. Goliath stepped out once more, and he spoke the same insults as every other day. David stood still, not because he was afraid, but because something deep in him was offended. He looked around. Grown men with swords, shields, and experience stood as if nailed to the ground. He asked someone nearby,
"What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel?"
The man spoke of riches and honor, but David heard something else. The name of the living God was being mocked by an uncircumcised foreigner, and no one answered. The news spread quickly. People looked at the teenage boy like a joke in the middle of war. Then the report reached King Saul. The king sent for David. Inside the king's tent, the air was thick with anxiety. Saul looked at the boy, his eyes scanning a young body with no armor, no sword. David bowed respectfully.
"Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine."
Saul sighed.
Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth.
David answered calmly.
The Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine.
1 Samuel 17:37. In that moment, Saul saw something in the boy's eyes, something he himself had lost. Simple, clear faith, stronger than any weapon. He said quietly,
Go, and the Lord be with thee.
But before David left, the king tried to do what fearful people often do, cover faith with familiar protection. He clothed David with armor, put a bronze helmet on his head, and fastened a sword to him. David took a few steps, and his body felt dragged down. He turned back, removed it, and said gently,
I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them.
He returned everything, not because he despised armor, but because he knew he could not carry someone else's battle gear to fight his own battle. David stepped into the valley with only a shepherd's bag, a sling, and a staff. And he carried something no one could see, a heart that trusted the Lord. From the other side, Goliath saw him and laughed in contempt. He spoke with the arrogance of someone who had never fallen.
Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves?
David did not answer with fear or insults. He answered with the name of the one he belonged to. His voice rang out across the valley.
Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel.
1 Samuel 17:45-46. Two opposites faced one another, one massive, one small, one trusting in bronze and steel, the other in the living God. Then Goliath advanced, and David ran, not running away, but running into the fight. He reached into his bag, took a stone, and placed it in the sling. The sling whirled, cutting the air with a sharp sound. In one motion, he released it. The stone flew like a final decision ball, but true and struck the giant in the middle of the forehead. In the instant it hit, the whole valley seemed to hold its breath. Goliath jolted, eyes wide. His body swayed, and then he crashed down face first into the dust. Silence held for a heartbeat. Then, like a dam breaking, the shout of Israel erupted. The Philistines panicked and fled. David ran forward, stood over the man who had made a nation tremble, drew Goliath's own sword, and finished him. Not to display a trophy, but to seal the end of 40 days of humiliation. Israel pursued and won a great victory. A valley of fear became a valley of deliverance. And an unknown shepherd boy became a name the whole kingdom would remember. Yet the deepest part of this story is not that a stone struck a forehead. The deepest part is how David saw the giant. Everyone else looked at Goliath and saw muscle, bronze armor, and experience. David looked and saw a man who had defied the armies of the living God. He did not deny the danger. He simply placed it in the right proportion before God. And this story does not belong only to the past. It belongs to those who feel small, who are anxious, who face something too large and think they are not enough. Everyone has their own Goliath fear, old failures, pressure, discouragement, hidden sin, or voices of criticism that still echo inside. We often stare at the problem until our hearts collapse, but David looked differently. He did not measure himself against Goliath, he set Goliath beside God and let God take hold of the battle. So today, when fear rises, remember God is greater than fear. When the future feels dark, whisper, Lord, this battle belongs to you. Not everyone is born to be a king, but anyone can become like David, trusting God in the valley of their life.
Thank you for watching. If this story strengthened you, please like, share, and subscribe to Fidelia Bible Stories and comment the next Bible character you want to hear.